Hey everybody. A lot of people shy away from EMDR therapy because they don't know what they're getting into. They think it's just like all trauma and like reliving everything, and that they just don't know if they're ready to dive into that kind of therapy, and it's new and it's scary. Because I hear that a lot, and I think a lot more people would get EMDR therapy if they knew that it does not have to be that way. There are several different protocols that EMDR therapists are trained in. And I'm going to go over some of those today because it's important that people get the help that they need. And there's a lot of really great options out there. So some of the things that EMDR helps with is, obviously there's trauma, right? That's what it's known for, but it's also good for shifting negative beliefs and helping with negative self-esteem and self-worth and improving relationships with people in your life and breaking old patterns that you grew up with that are just suddenly are there. And you're like, why am I doing this? And it's because of your past. Yeah, just positive view of yourself and being more comfortable living genuinely and authentically without really apologizing for it. So it's got a lot of benefits besides just resolving a traumatic experience that you had. Given that, I wanted to show you this picture that I got from a training that was really fantastic. And it gives this analogy of all the different types of protocol with EMDR. These are the three most common ones. If you picture the ocean and you picture it kind of like your mind is the ocean, right? It's really, as you can read on the left side, it's vast. It's got a lot of stuff. There's waves and undertows and all these things. The main standard protocol that many people know is EMDR, standard protocol, where any memory is fair game. Anything is fair game that comes into your mind. You just sort of daydream while you're doing these bilaterals to sort of let your brain go where it wants to go because it never resolved whatever it needed to resolve while you were processing whatever experience and feeling that was. Someone who may be a good candidate for EMDR standard protocol is somebody who has been in therapy before and who has talked about their trauma and is comfortable talking through their trauma, and they kind of know already, like, yeah, this is why I do this, and here's where this came from, and I'm seeing that pattern, but nothing's changing, or I still have this reaction. So it's not necessary that you went to therapy in the past, but it's really helpful, I think, because it lays the groundwork, and you don't have to sit for a long time talking about your traumatic experiences with an EMDR therapist because you've already done that. Now it's about taking the actions and processing through. EMDR can move kind of quickly in its conversation, and it could appear insensitive if you're someone who needs to sit and talk through that trauma and the EMDR therapist is moving you along to the next step. So that's just my recommendation and kind of what I've noticed over my years of doing this. So that's EMDR, big R, and it's like the bottom of the ocean, right? You're kind of exploring anything and everything that comes up. I'm going to move to the very top scuba diver here, who is kind of flying, which I find interesting. But anyways, EMD with no R is just no memories. So this would be really good for a person who maybe is either getting started with therapy, or maybe you've had a little bit of therapy, but your day-to-day is so stressful and it's so stressful week to week that you kind of come in preoccupied with stuff that's going on currently. And so you just kind of feel like, you know what, I just really need to debrief on this, or I need to process this, or talk about that. So people who come in with that, we're probably not going to do a lot of memory work until you're feeling regulated and ready to do stuff that maybe isn't happening today. You know, like everything's connected, past and present and future and stuff like that. Everything's connected. But, you know, if you're so preoccupied with the now and like kind of in crisis in the now, we want to make sure that you're able to go past the now and think about some of the past before we do any memory work whatsoever. So EMD is really great because it's just desensitizing. Like you can take a situation you're in right now, you can clear out all of the stress around it and the feelings and the negative beliefs you hold because of the stuff going on right now, and approach your week or your day more regulated when you leave. It brings a lot of very quick relief, but in terms of underlying issues, you probably want to be a little further along and do memory work at some point. Now I'm going to go to the middle because it's a little complicated. So this is a very nuanced protocol, and you need someone who's got some experience and who's been trained in this complex trauma, dissociation, things like that. But the EMD little r is where we contain any memories that you don't want to focus on. So you might say, hey, I had a really bad car accident a year ago and I'm still having trouble driving, right? We're not going to go back all the way to the first time you had a situation where you had a similar feeling of being out of control or trapped. That's what we would do if it was EMD big R. But if this is just a one-time event or something that happened kind of recently, like within the last few years, then hey, let's just focus on that one memory we'll do a little bit of memory work. And then if anything comes up besides that memory, we're going to contain that away. We're not going to think about that. We have tools that we prep people with to make sure that works and that doesn't happen. And we just process through that one memory. So it's still helpful and it has a ripple effect through now in your today, in your present, but it doesn't make you go through your past and every time you've ever experienced feeling how you did when you had that car accident. So those are the 3 different types. Most people don't know that. And so if you're thinking about trying EMDR therapy, or if you wrote it off completely, give it some thought, because there are different ways to start EMDR therapy. There's different levels that you can get into. And no matter what happens, your therapist is going to start where you're at. They're going to do an assessment to see which protocol you are ready for in that particular day and in that time in your therapy journey. And it's collaborative. So it's definitely not something that you need to be worried someone's going to throw you into the deep end, pun intended, without you knowing, right? It's going to be very thought out, very planned, and hopefully nothing unexpected comes up. So that's the goal. And please let me know if you have questions, because this is kind of a lot. And I just want to clarify anything I can about EMDR because it is so cool and I want all of you guys to try it. So let me know if you have questions. Thanks for stopping by.